Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the infamous tutorial series. Today we'll be adding some visual and sound effects to our character while they're aiming. This is to represent the electricity that forms around Cole's arm in the original game. All the VFX we'll be using today are from Alex Huang and Focado. They both are very skilled creators. I highly recommend you check them out. Additionally, we'll be using sounds from freesound.org, and finally you can get all these assets in the description below. Alright, first let's get the assets into our project. Opening up the assets project file from the description, you'll see a folder named inFAMOUS. We're going to right click on this folder, migrate, we're going to click OK, and then we're going to locate our desired project folder. For me, that's going to be tutorial. In here, we're going to go to content. Once you've selected your content folder, we're going to go down here to select folder. After a couple seconds, your assets will now be migrated to the desired project. Alright, now that we have our assets in our project, I'm just going to go to the inFAMOUS folder and I'm going to drag our assets into the content folder we made previously. Just like that. Now all our effects are in here. Now let's get started on the actual blueprints. First we're going to go and create an actor component, and I'm going to call this electrokinesis _BPC. Next, let's go ahead and open up the component. And we're going to create a new function. We're going to call this create owner references. In here, we're going to get a node, and it's going to be get owner underneath components. And off of our return value, we're going to do PPI get player. This is from the interface we made last episode. Off of our return value, we're going to set this to a variable. I'm going to call this player. We're going to go off of return value again, but this time we're going to get mesh. Scroll all the way down, click on mesh. Off of this, we're going to create a new variable. I'm going to call this mesh. And I'm going to connect these together. Both of these variables I'm going to put into a new category. I'm going to call it references. And I'm going to add this function to our begin play. What this is doing is we're basically, since we're going to be adding this component to our player, it's getting the owner, which will return the player, and then we're using this interface, which is also set up in our player previously in the earlier episode. And we're setting these variables from our player. Next, we're going to set up our audio function. So I'm going to call this create sound components. In here, we're going to get that same node as before, get owner. Off of our return value, we're going to do add component by class. Underneath class, we're going to add audio component, or type in audio component. The second one right here. Off of our return value, we're going to set the sound. Now underneath this new sound pin, we're going to drag this out, and we're going to promote it to a variable. I'm going to name this aiming sound. Next, I'm going to, off of our return value again, I'm going to set auto activate, and we're going to set this to false. Finally, off of our return value again, I'm going to promote this to a variable, and I'm going to name this aiming loop sound effect. And I'm going to put this into I'm going to keep this in that category, components. And our aiming sound, I'm going to put this into parameters and then sounds. And you can add a subcategory by putting this little line character, which is next to, on a typical keyboard, it's above the enter. And for our aiming sound, I'm going to set this to the looping sound effect asset that we imported previously, which we can find in our content folder, assets, sounds, electricity, and I'm going to be using this sound cue right here that I've already made. And I'm going to go and add this here. Alright, outside of our blueprint component, next we're going to create a new actor. And this actor will be for our spark effects. And so what we're going to do is create a new blueprint class, actor. And I'm just going to name this to electricity_sparks. Go and open that up, and we're going to create a couple of events. First, custom event will be create effect. Our next one will be destroy effect. And our last one will be update effect. So before we do our create effect event, we're going to create a new variable. This variable will be aura sparks ? This will be a boolean. We're going to set this and any other variable we make in this actor to instance editable and expose on spawn. And we're going to add a branch node. And on our condition, we're going to create this new boolean we just made. Now off of true, we're going to create a spawn system attached. So from true, connect that. And for our system template, we're going to drag this out and promote it to a new variable. I'm going to call this system effect. And for attached to component, this will be mesh. Off of our return value, I'm going to promote this to a new variable called system. And off of the return value again, I'm going to call activate. And turn off auto activate right here. Next, down here on false, we're going to do spawn emitter attached. And here we're going to drag out of emitter template, promote this to a new variable. And I'm going to call this emitter effect. And the same as before, for the attached to component, it will be mesh. And we're going to create new variables for the attach point name, which I'm going to call this socket. And then the location. And finally the scale. Now on the scale, instance editable, expose on spawn, location, same thing, socket, same thing, emitter effect, same thing, system effect, same thing. Alright, next out of our emitter node on our return value, we're going to set this to emitter, or we're going to promote this to a new variable, name that emitter, and same as before, auto activate and auto destroy to no. Off of this, we're going to activate it. Alright, and that's it for the create event. Next we're going to do our destroy effect event. Here once again we're going to get our branch node and plug in our aura sparks variable to the condition. On true, we're going to get our system variable and we're going to convert this to a validated get. Off of this, we're going to deactivate the effect. Then we're going to add a delay of 1 second. And then off of our system variable again, we're then going to destroy it. So destroy component. And then after this, we're going to drag out and do destroy actor. Now off of our false, we're going to get the emitter variable. And same thing, we're going to convert this to a validated get. And we can go and copy all this right here. Paste. Off of is valid. And we're just going to plug in everything here. And finally plug this into destroy actor. Now next is our update effect. We're going to add another branch. Add in our aura sparks question mark boolean variable. Off of true, we can just copy these gets again. Off of true into system, false into emitter. Now off of system, we're going to do set color parameter. And in our parameter name, we're going to do color. Now off of this param input, we're going to drag out and promote this to a variable called color. And same thing with the other variables, we're going to set this to instance editable and expose on spawn. Now we're just going to copy this down here to the emitter, put it through is valid, connect these up, drag the param pin to the color variable, and there we go. Compile and save. Now on our begin play events, we're going to add create effect. And on our event tick, we're going to do update effect. Compile, save. Now we can go back to our actor component. And we're going to create a new function. This is going to be create sparks effect. Now in here, we're going to do spawn actor from class. From the class, we're going to do the actor we just made, electricity underscore sparks. Now, a bunch of these variables will pop up. First of all, on color, we're going to drag out of this. We're going to promote it to a new variable. And this is going to be ability color. Next, for our scale, we're going to put this into here, which you can just do by dragging from this pin to this node. Same thing for the location. Same thing for the socket, same thing for both of the effects, and finally, same thing for this boolean. We're going to add our mesh variable to here. I'm just going to go ahead and rearrange this on the side on the input section. There we go. Next, on return value, we're going to do attach actor to component. Or no, I'm sorry, attach actor to actor. And for our parent actor, we're going to do get owner off of the components tab. And finally, we're going to get a return node, and we're going to connect this. And off of our return value from our spawn actor, we're going to plug that into the return node. And on our attach actor to actor, we're going to set all these to snap to target. And on collision, we're going to do always spawn ignore collisions. Oh, I'm sorry, on our spawn transform, we're going to get owner again. And then we're going to get actor transform and connect this to the transform pin. There we go. Alright, we're going to create another actor. This one is going to be ability light underscore BP. Going to open that up. On our begin play, we're going to add a component by class. The target will be self. The class will be point light component. Off of return value, we're going to set intensity. On the new intensity pin, we're going to drag out, promote this to a variable called intensity. Instance editable and expose on spawn to true. Then on return value again, we're going to set light color. Off of the new light color pin, we're going to drag this out, promote to a variable called color. Instance editable and expose on spawn to true again. And then finally on return value, we're going to set this, we're going to promote this to a variable. And I'm just going to call this light. Now on our event tick, we're going to drag out that light variable and we're going to set light color. And for the new light color pin, we're going to drag out the color variable. Alright, that's all done for this actor. Alright, next function we're going to do is for the ability light. So create ability light. In here, we're going to spawn an actor from class. We're going to go and split our transform. We're going to get owner. And then get actor location. And we're going to drag this, the return value, into our location. Collision, always spawn, ignore collisions. Class will be ability light underscore BP. For our color, we're going to drag in ability color. For our intensity, we're going to drag this into our node. Next, on our return value, we're going to do attach actor to component. For our parent, we're going to set this to mesh. And for our socket, we're going to drag this into the function node. And I'm going to call this socket. Next, on return value, we're going to set actor relative transform. Split this. Our new location will be a parameter for the function. Just like this. I'm going to rename this to just location. And I misspelled socket, so I'm going to update that. And I'm just going to reorder these. On our attach node, I'm going to set all these to snap to target. And finally, we're going to add a return node. And off of the return value from our spawn actor from class, we're going to plug that into the return node. And make sure you connect all these up. Before I forget, I'm going to add our color variable into our parameters. And next in our event graph, we're going to create a new event. We're going to call this aim. We're going to add a new input, which will be a boolean. And I'm just going to call this aim. And now we're going to add a branch. We're going to connect the boolean input to our condition. On true, we're going to get our aiming loop sound effects component. And we're going to do fade in. I'm going to set this fade in duration to 0.25. And I'm going to connect that to true. On false, we're going to fade out. And I'm going to set this to 0.3. Connect that up to false. Now next, we're going to set up the creations of our effects when we aim. We're going to go and add our create sparks effect function. And we're going to do this 5 times. So just copy and paste these. And make sure you connect them. And then finally, we're going to add a create ability light at the end. Alright, so now for our first effect. For our socket, we're going to be adding this to the right hand. So for this, we're going to do hand underscore R. And this is going to be a non-aura sparks effect, which just means it's a cascade effect and not a Niagara effect. So we're going to select our sparks effect right here. And for our location, we are going to do -6.6. For our Y, we're going to do 5. And for our Z, we're going to do 1.3. For our scale, we're going to do 0.5 for each one. Alright, for our next effect, this is going to be lower arm underscore R. Same thing, we're going to do a cascade effect. Our location will be -10 for the X, 0 for the rest, scale 1 on the X, 0.5 on the Y and Z. For our third effect, this is going to be the hand again, so hand underscore R. You can set our location all to 0 and our scale all to 0.5. Make sure you select our effect again. For our fourth effect, this is going to be the lower arm underscore R. Our location on the X will be -20, the rest 0, all our scale to 0.5. Again, cascade effect, so sparks. For our fifth effect, this is going to be our only Niagara effect, so we're going to select this down here, and we're going to set set aura sparks to true. All our scale will be 1. Location on the X, Y, and Z all 0. Socket none. Now for our ability light, our socket is going to be hand underscore R. Our location is going to be -6.6, Y 5, Z 1.3. Our intensity will be 500. And go and compile and save. Alright, so next what we're going to do is, this is for when we do aim. So now we need to set up from when we are not, or when we are no longer aiming. So for this, on each effect, we're going to drag out and we're going to type in destroy effect. And connect this to the no longer aiming, fade out. And I'm just going to copy this till we have it 5 times. And I'm going to drag the target to each effect. Finally, for our light on the return value, we're just going to do destroy actor. Connect this. And I'm going to turn this into a collapsed function. Or I'm sorry, collapse the nodes. And I'm just going to call this update aim effects. And I'm just going to rename these to aim, unaim. Compile, save. Finally, after we've done all that, we're going to go to our ability color. And I'm just going to set this to a nice blue color. And I'm going to go and make sure our alpha is to 1. Final thing we need to do is go to our player. And we need to add this component to our player. So electrokinesis. There we go. Now we're going to go to our input graph where we're aiming. And we're going to drag out the component. And we're going to get our aim function. Just like so. Copy and paste this. Target component. Aim on true. And then false for when we stop aiming. Compile, save. And this is the final result. I hope you enjoyed. If you need support or just a place to hang out, my Discord is in the description. Additionally, if you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.